I'm all over this. You ready? Taking it off the plate, set, go, game on. Hand behind back. So good. How old am I? Anyway. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm having this low calorie. I've got to go back in that jar. Oh my God. I'm nearly there. I'm just taking one for the team here. One. I can't remember this. Oh, over there. Over there. Put it down. I'm not sure you can do it. Oh. Ta-da!
You just can't deny her ability to light up a room. And I know that's such like a cliched comment, like, oh, that person lights up a room, but she really did. It was like a magnetic force field, like you were drawn to her. I was drawn to her, even when she pissed me off. She's my mum, and I'd be like, oh, okay, you're amazing, I'll hang out with you today. Like, you know, she wasn't a chore to be with. That's one thing. She might be a bit neurotic at times, you know, which is okay, that was part of who she was. But she was a joy to be with and a joy to be around, always. How do we get better? How do we, if they say 6 months, how do we make it 4 months? If we, you know, you've broken your arm, that's okay, your legs aren't broken, let's go for a run. You know, there was always that innovation in her from a young age that at times, you know, you just thought, oh, why can't I just like, you know, hurt myself? Like, why do you feel bad for me? You know, you help me. And I think it's important to, yeah, talk about that she was a pain in the ass because, you know, she was a 3D woman. She was complex. She had layers. She's not just, you know, fluffy and sweet and nice. There was parts to her where her passion came out in anger, or, you know, for the Blues when they lost, she'd be throwing chairs and things like that in the household growing up, which is, you know, probably slightly, you know, maybe not so straight-laced actually after all.
She was Carlton and I was Essendon, and at the end of the day, there was a lot of rivalry. And of course, the games that we would go to twice a year, assuming Essendon can't play twice a year, we would start the day all good, but at the end of the day, depending on who won, it could end quite badly. And no doubt that I'm far more placid, I'm practical about it. Essendon lose, that's life, we move on. Carlton lose though, and Essendon beats them, she hits the fan big time. So Sue does get pretty pissed off about the fact that not only did Carlton lose, but I'm to blame that Carlton lose.
Standing up for what she believes in, whether it's going to rock the boat or not, was so important. We both hate fence sitters. We just can't stand people who sit on the fence. Something we used to always talk about, like, pick a side, just like have an opinion, say something, don't say nothing, say something, which I'm sure can drive the people around us nuts, but I think that that's like a really special quality to have.
One of the things she'd always say to me is, if you didn't want the sort of person that I am, you should have married a good Greek girl, and then you would have had no stress in your life. You wouldn't have lived the roller coaster ride that you have.
I'm the most easily embarrassed human on the planet. Like, secondhand embarrassment, like, it literally gets me to my core. It's like embarrassing. And as much as I loved her, I was still like so deeply embarrassed so often. That time in 2009 when she rolled into semi-final day, fully dressed in her in the blood rule uniform. You know, she's the head coach of the Australian women's lacrosse team. You're about to play for a World Cup final, and she rolls into the stadium fully dressed in the blood rule uniform with a little headband on and her cleats on, and, you know, like, who does that? Like, who does that? You know, it's just, she's a peanut. She just wore her heart on her sleeve. You never had to second guess what she was thinking because she stood up for what she believed in, whether that was, going to be confrontational or uncomfortable for people at times. And something I've learned through this process is
I'm weirdly comfortable sitting in uncomfortable situations, and I think that's because of Mum. Like I'm okay to sit in the sadness, I'm okay to sit in the pain sometimes because that's what makes me human, and I think Mum taught me that.
Just her ability to really lean in, you know, to herself and love hard and be vulnerable and really chase what she believed in, and not to stop until she got there. You know, she was hardcore and unrelenting about that, but did it in a way that brought people along with her, and people wanted to be on that journey with her.
She brought to my life everything that I wasn't expecting. I hadn't even contemplated a woman that was so highly motivated, driven, energetic. I mean, my God, you know, even that last period up to September where she went out and bought a racing bike, and she wanted to train and become better at riding so she could ride in some sort of competition maybe later into the year or early next year. And I used to just shake my head and think, what in the hell?
That's what made her her. And I think by, not talking about those things, not honouring those things, you know, dilutes her down, and she can't be diluted. She's too big, she's too full of life in that way.
In Italian, there's a word called simpatica, and simpatica means gregarious, walks into a room and she shines, and everyone wants to be part of that energy. That's how I knew Sue, and she'd always give herself to people that she didn't even know, and she connected with those people immediately.
Passionate, so passionate, loving and giving. I think she was always prepared to just do that extra bit to make someone feel like they meant something to her.
Well, we'd only been in the country a couple of years, and Mac, my husband, it's his 50th. And I said to Mellie, what should we do for his 50th? And she thought, well, we could maybe book out Princess Park, the Carlton training area, and maybe we could have it there. And I'm thinking, really? Oh, yes, I know somebody. Days later, she says, yes, I've spoken to somebody. Hey, you know what? This needs to be a surprise. Don't say anything to Mac. We'll get a limousine, we'll blindfold him, and then he won't know where he's going. And then maybe we can get them to open up the grounds when it's dark and put the floodlights on. And then we can get out there onto the field, all of us, and we can see if we can score a goal. And I can buy him boots, and I can get the ball, and then I can get a jumper signed by Jezelenko, and I'll do a song. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And guess what? All that happened.
If I had to introduce her to somebody, I'd say she was the most inclusive, supportive, fun-loving person, I suppose, that I can think of.
You know, she was so embracing. We had this New Year's party to meet everybody, and she said, bring a plate, and I thought, well, that's awfully strange, but I'm happy to bring a plate. Obviously, she's going to serve food, and there's not enough plates, so I bought 2 plates, actually, one for Mal and one for myself, and just fell about laughing, and because a plate meant bring something with the plate, on the plate. Well, I didn't realise that. But ever since then, and this is part of her friendship, is that she remembered that. And every time we had a get-together, bring a plate, she literally would bring an empty plate.
The passion. Whatever she did, it was just the passion, the way she talked about her family, the way she talked about her players, the way she talked about her teammates, the way she talked about lacrosse. It was always so passionate.
Almost 45 years playing lacrosse for Australia and Victoria. It's a legend in front of us right now. Go Sue. Oh, great to see the bikes following us along. Great to see. Yes, sir. Here she is.
because I'm thinking, oh, you stink at my age and you stink. Wow. And then new me, old me, stick. Used to love that. Now I get a newborn. It's where my life is.
As far as a team person, I mean, she was totally team. That's how she was. I mean, at Bleeding Run, no matter whether she played for Newport, Victoria or Australia, she was always just team.
She was just a dream, as in the ability that she had, the keenness that she had, the competitiveness that she had, and the desire to be one of the best. It was just sort of innate in her.
Her creativity, her skill level, her tenacity and courage, unprecedented once again. But I think her ability to make something happen out of nothing that nobody else could do. She was one of a kind.
Mellie gave you that look in the eye, you knew we're going to win this game. Like, she just had to say, okay, we've got this. And you knew, and that was with everything really, with, as a friend, as a mum, like any time I've had those deep conversations, she looked you in the eye, you knew, like, yeah, I've got this.
In lacrosse conversations, we always used to bicker about this and that, and then with a joke with Hales, I'd be like, well, I'm captain of Australia, like I can help you train, I can help you do this. And Sue had never brought it up, and I knew that she was captain of Australia a couple of times. And at the dinner table one time, she turns to me and looks at me with that funny face and goes, "You're not the only Australian captain at this table, mate."
She would always want to know exactly what makes you tick, and then, really, encourage you to have the courage to basically explore what your possibilities were. And I think that each person felt that, she gave them the time of day over and over again, and it enabled them to feel safe and feel like they belonged within the team. And I think once you feel safe and you feel like you belong, it opens up a whole new world.
She taught us about mateship and culture. She taught us that no matter how much effort you put in and how hard you worked on the pitch, it didn't matter if you weren't connected. And I think that was probably one of the greatest gifts she gave us as a country from Newport in state, was that she just refused to let you lose to someone that had more heart than you. You always had to have more heart. And that was in life. Just, play with joy, have more heart, and don't be beaten out with effort. It didn't have to look pretty all the time, but you had to work harder and you had to have more heart.
It doesn't matter. That touch of that finger will be a point instead of a goal that could do the difference in a game.
Dreaming tonight of the old town looking bright, gardens blooming, mermaids crooning, down by the Jelly Grand Light you'll hear our seagulls scream. Way down on Jelly Beach, and there's the local band plays down upon the strand. So if you want to have a good time, buy a ticket to our seaside, and when you get there, you will know that there's no place like Williamstown.
She had the most massive family of anybody I'd ever known, because she did love so many people. Her family was Willie, and I think You know, it's not one thing of Sue that she gave to me or anyone else. It's just her charisma and herself. It's just her.
And in all honesty, we have no role description for Sue's role at school. I went looking for it, I thought, there isn't one, because there can't be a role description for Sue and what she did. Because she did what she did at school, because she loved loved the girls, loved the staff, and always wanted to try and do things that would help them and support them and allow them to be the best that they could be.
It's those little things, it's those little jokes you have, the history. And it might be a wink or a nod and you say one word and you start laughing. But she was very special, she was very thoughtful all the time. So little things, she never forgot a birthday or an occasion that was sad or happy. You know, she made sure of it. And she went that extra distance.
What's not to love? I don't really know what she thought of it, but the GOAT, greatest of all time. Like, she should be remembered as not just the best lacrosse player or the best public speaker or anything like that. She was just all round the best at everything.
The legacy will be that what she has done so far will continue on from the players that she has nurtured and coached and developed, and that Australia will become a powerhouse in lacrosse.
I know for a fact, that I would not be who I am without her. I would not feel as powerful, as capable, and as strong as a woman. I watch her mother her girls, lead young women everywhere. And I just know she led me to be the person I am. And God, I just hope that I'm half the person she is, and that would be enough.
I think her legacy will be, it's an army of amazing women, you know, inspiring and empowering other women and other girls to live their life, you know, to the absolute fullest, I think, and that will live on, you know, for generations and generations to come. I picture her looking back and reflecting on her life and what she would have wanted from it, and I believe that that's what she would want. You know, I believe that she would want to make people feel like they could do anything and that life was there to be lived.
We all bring something to the table of life, every one of us. But Mellie actually bought a buffet. She bought that, there was a bit of everything, and I think that's how I think of her, that she bought the whole platter, and that, you know, she was my friend. And I miss her terribly. You know, I feel lucky that I, you know, got to have a buddy like that.
The fact that you should believe in what you want to do. You just live your dream. You don't second guess it. If you're going down that road, you just keep going. If you want to challenge yourself, she really, really thought that challenging yourself brought the best out in you. If you went to your comfort zone, that was easy.
Generosity in all aspects of her being, you know, from generous in her time to giving to people, from the smallest of things, writing a card, to, you know, spending time with them. You know, she was so generous in that. In her knowledge, in sharing, wanting to, you know, just impart the experiences that she'd had and the incredible opportunities that she got. She wanted other people to feel that and experience that too. Something that Mum always made important was, human connection and being vulnerable, and I think I grew up with that. We showed each other all sides of ourselves, you know, good and bad, and we'd hold each other accountable for it, and I think that made our connection so strong. You can't lie to someone like that. They know you so inherently, you know. And, you know, that's what pissed us off about each other too, because we understood each other's emotionality and each other's behaviours. So I could pull her up and be like, no, I do that thing, don't you do that thing? And then we'd fight about that. Well, you do it, so it's okay if I do it. And we'd be like screaming like sisters some days. But now I look back on that, and that's such a special thing to have had, that, you know, we really opened ourselves up to one another in a way that most people don't do in a lifetime with anyone. So it's sad to have lost that, but I think it's better to have had it.
Yeah.
I think it's super important for us to all understand that you need to take every minute of your day to do something that you think is important to you, because you just never know what's going to happen around the corner. I think that making a difference to someone else is super important, so the legacy in ensuring that people know you care is fundamental to how she lived.
Great to all be back together. Really looking forward to today's session. Let's make sure we're focused, bring you intensity and lots of communication. Vital today. So let's have a great session. Short and sharp. Here we go. Here we go, Aussies. Fast feet. Come on, make it quick. Awesome. Keep it coming. Next one through. Keep it coming. In, out. Here we go. Okay, girls. Just going to do the monkey in the middle. One at each end. Two in the middle. Catch, take, quick release. Other way. Grab ball, box out. You got it. Turn. Push to the sideline. Double. Okay, let's start the ball at the back. Okay, use that circle. Got to communicate in defence. It's too quiet out here. I can't hear anything. All right, let's lift that. Clear, concise communication. A really good session today. I asked at the start for intensity and effort, and we got that the whole session. The one thing that was really lacking though, there was just not enough communication, not enough talk, couldn't hear you. We need to get better at that. That communication and connections need to keep building. And today, we just didn't bring that. So let's get better at that for next time. And I know we will, because today was really good, apart from that part of the game. Okay, all hands in. Okay, Aussies on 3. 1, 2, 3, Aussies.